Because we've talked about it before, we probably need to update le people. So I Am Hope's ministry contract for Gumboot Friday gets the thumbs up. I think this is a story, okay? This is not good, not bad. I think it's a meh. But it's good to kind of look at some of the stuff that was brought up in this as well, because there's some interesting things I hadn't considered before. So a year after criticising the government's rushed procurement process for the Gumboot Friday mental health initiative, the Auditor General now says the contract is being managed properly and in line with good practice. The public spending watchdog on Friday released its response to Labour MP Ingrid Leary, who last month asked it to investigate whether the Ministry of Health's deal with the I Am Hope charity was delivering value for money. The Auditor General said its recent audit work had concluded that the ministry's handling of the contract was sound. Overall, the review found that the contract was being managed appropriately against its terms and in accordance with good practice. Under the arrangement, those under 25 and under can book free counselling services through Gumboot Friday platform run by I Am Hope, founded by comedian Mike King. The audit found the ministry had developed a contract management plan, was receiving regular reports on counselling numbers and sessions delivered, and had clearly defined payment milestones. No complaints about the services had been lodged with the ministry to date. The Mental Health Minister and Director General of Health also received a full review of the scheme's performance before deciding to renew the contract in July. Watchdog would not launch any further investigation unless new information came to light, but advised the ministry to consider using an independent probity auditor for any future major procurement. The Auditor General's office also noted that it would not examine the internal practices, such as remuneration, of I Am Hope itself because the charity was a private organisation. And that's in referring to the salary increases. I don't remember exactly what they were.
Oh, yes, I know. But they were quite high. I know there was a lot of criticism.
Massive salary, of the CEO and things like that. I think it was in the millions. Don't quote me on that. No, it wasn't. Sorry, take that back. It wasn't, but it was crazy. The numbers were crazy. I don't know if anyone remembers. Don't quote me. It was like 250,000 went up to 500,000.
Yeah, 500,000 sounds about right. I think I do remember being around the 500K because it was quite high.
It was something crazy high, and it was definitely doubled whatever it was before, and there's some weird thing about split roles. Anyways, that's what that's in regards to, so obviously they can't comment on that because it's internal processes and things like that, but I still feel like that perhaps should be somewhat investigated. But it is what
I guess this is the hard part when you funnel government money into private entities. Even if we know Mike King is a Kiwi.
Yeah. In theory, though, if it's charity, it should, all its finances will be public. So that's probably how they got that information.
True,
but how they use the money is not under scrutiny as such. How they use, remuneration is not under scrutiny, if that makes sense. It's only the terms of the contract that are. So, for example, if they can make it work with the money and increase salaries, then... Or they can show that the salaries come from other sources, not the government contracts. There's ways around that as well.
Yeah.
But the thing I want to come back to here is the independent probity auditor for any future major procurement. So I looked back at something, and there was something called an opt-out clause that they used because of the way that the contract was procured, right? So opt-out clause used to justify lack of procurement process for the Gumboot Friday funding. This is back July 25, 2024.
Right.
25th of July, 2024. So government announced in May that I Am Hope Foundation will receive $6 million for 4 years to provide counselling services for 5 to 25-year-olds. The funding was already pledged as part of the coalition agreement last year. Documents obtained in the OIA show health ministry officials struggling to find ways to make the contract compliant with public procurement rules. We acknowledge that the open competitive process has not been used and other non-governmental organisation mental health and addiction service providers consider this to be an unfair process. Deputy Director General for Clinical Community and Mental Health, Robin Shearer, wrote to her boss, Director General Diana Sarfati, in June memo. Because the government had directed the ministry to fund the contract without going through the usual open tender process, an often used exception, known as Rule 14, was not appropriate to use in this instance, as there are other organisations that deliver youth mental health services. And essentially they used it because they said that they already had all of the processes in place and they were able to scale up quickly, was kind of the way that they got around it. Later in October last year, headline, unusual and inconsistent process to justify the $24 million Gumboot Friday contract, Auditor General fines. So several aspects of the process are unusual and inconsistent with good practice. Ministry of Health officials were put in a difficult position by the coalition agreement to fund I Am Hope, but they should have provided better advice on the rules to the minister. The analysis appeared designed to retrospectively justify an outcome that had already been decided. Established conventions generally discourage ministers from directing the public service and making contractual decisions. It is for ministers to make overarching policy, such as an intention to fund counselling services for young people, but it is for the public service to ensure robust, fair and transparent spending of public money, including selecting a supplier and ensuring value for money. The situation created challenges for public officials and for transparency, value for money, and accountability for public spending and more generally. He found several aspects of the procurement process were inconsistent with good public procurement. Where have I heard that 1,000 times? Including the selection of the supplier and the amount of funding was decided without an open and transparent process. There was no opportunity for fair, open or competitive procurement process. The funding for the new initiative was specific to a supplier rather than to a broad policy initiative or to achieve a policy outcome. The limited analysis on whether it was appropriate to directly contract the supplier or whether the supplier was the best placed to deliver the policy objective was done only after the decision to provide funding to the supplier had been made. The decision to opt out of the rules took place after the decision to engage the supplier and without clear justification of why an opt-out was appropriate. Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag.
Just going to keep repeating these two Kiwi burbs. This very, very sus, very sus. Also, just a quick clarification. Not all charities have public accountability depending on what tier they're operating under.
Oh, and that's interesting. Yes, I didn't know that.
So that'd be interesting to see whether, hey, if anyone wants to go have a quick look for that, feel free to tell us in the chat. Otherwise, I'll try to look for it. But that's really interesting. Also, someone's pointed out, Mike is paying himself almost the same as what John Tamihere is paying himself through his charity. No longer trust either of them. Interesting.
So that is a little bit of an interesting one that I hadn't looked into before. I don't think we touched on this topic quite a few times, but it was more about what results they were getting for the funding. But this was actually about the scrutiny of how the contract was procured, because I hadn't actually thought of it from that angle before, that it was essentially a government promise. It was pre-election, wasn't it? It was a pre-election promise.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, because
we're going to fund this.
If I remember correctly, our first episode, I'm pretty sure we talked about that whole Mike King alcohol is a medication to help you with depression.
Oh, yes.
I remember that's how we actually got introduced to him.
Yeah, it was an interview that he'd done with RNZ or the Herald. There was
one of those. But
they got into a hot water. Oh, the Charities Act 2005. If you want to
cool.
go into that. Thank you for clarifying that. I did not know this.
You.
But That's interesting. But essentially what's going to happen next with it is there's I didn't know this, Scrutiny Week is next week, guys. Woohoo!
Oh shit, are we at Scrutiny Week next week? Fuck yeah.
So Ingrid Leary, if she wants to raise further questions with the ministry, she can do that next week with Scrutiny Week.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so supposedly they're fulfilling the contract as they're supposed to, but I think it's just kind of an ongoing saga under this government. I say this in a I'm not sorry kind of way, but like I pity them in a way because it's just like it's another ongoing saga that just keeps coming back. Coming back.
They do it. It's by design. They're trying to fuck with everything. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like my level of paranoia is pretty high because guess what? Everything's telling me I can't trust people. Crazy that. Also, I'm with Dot. That fucking retrospective aspect. That's that RSB shit. It's like, oh. And
make it fit kind of thing.
Exactly. We shouldn't be spending money on private charities. Common sense. I mean, I do agree. I do think it's
especially
crazy
not
that we
charities that don't have to show their spending, because if there is such a thing as charities that aren't that don't have to disclose their spendings, essentially, then I don't like that. I don't want my taxpayer money being funneled into that kind of charity.